Welcome to RobbyLobby Studios.
Hello, I'm May. I am a current sophomore at Campbell IB, a Bollywood dancer and teacher. I'm an internationally ranked debater, and I am a founder of a nonprofit called Tamil Scouts. Yeah, so Tamil Scouts is a community built by Tamil youth for Tamil youth in the US, are trying to make the transitions for Tamil youth from in their tween and teenage years from those big transitions like from elementary to middle school to high school, and high school to college a little bit smoother and easier. So the need kind of comes from my own personal experience. Tamil Scouts is kind of something that I would have loved to have when I was a student. Looking back, like a lot of these friends from Tamil school that I had, we lost touch and we stopped being friends, and I kind of wish that I'd kept these friendships and these bonds, because I think that having Tamil friends that have shared experiences like me would have been really, really helpful. And I think that's what Tamil Scouts aims to do, is to create those shared Tamil experiences so that kids can develop in a space where there's people like that.
All right, we are live, so I will just do that. Will help all my camera audio to sync up, that's all. Okay, all right. So here I am talking with May, my friend's daughter, and she came up. When I approached her, she told that she's doing something really novel, and I thought I'll hear it out in our podcast at RobbyLobby and see if we can share it with you. Welcome to RobbyLobby Studios. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Very good. So I was really excited when you wanted to talk about this program of yours, really unique. So yeah, introduce yourself first and let's talk about the program, okay?
Okay, sure. So I'm May. I am a current sophomore at Campbell IB. I am a Bollywood dancer and teacher. I've been a Bollywood dancer for 12 years. I'm an internationally ranked debater, and I am a founder of a nonprofit called Tamil Scouts.
Wonderful. Wow. I did not know about the Bollywood for 12 years.
Yeah.
And international debate. No, that's awesome, May. I didn't know that you're an international debater. Okay. Now I have to be careful during podcast, not draw myself into a debate.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I did not know that. Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, of course.
But first, the most important thing, what is the program, the Scouts you're talking about?
Yeah, so Tamil Scouts is a community built by Tamil youth for Tamil youth in the US. And what we are doing, kind of a general gist of it, is we are trying to make the transitions for Tamil youth from in their tween and teenage years from those big transitions like from elementary to middle school to high school, and high school to college a little bit smoother and easier. And we're doing that currently in 3 programs. So the first is called Akana Mentorship Program, which kind of acts as like a big brother, big sister type of thing. And then there's social and cultural programs too. So for social, we have Tamil Hangouts, which kind of encourages Tamil kids to hang out with each other outside of a traditional family friend gathering or like a Tamil school gathering. And the cultural program, which is a cultural immersion for Tamil kids, encourages kids to learn more about their heritage and culture in a more fun and engaging way.
Oh, okay. So you have 3 separate initiatives, but let's get back into Tamil Scouts. Like you said, you're a founder. Mm-hmm. So when was this started?
So we started working towards like founding this as a nonprofit over the summer. It has been filed as a nonprofit for I think 6 months since the beginning of the school year, probably in August or July.
Wonderful. So what made you come up with this idea? What does it need?
So the need kind of comes from my own personal experience. Tamil Scouts is kind of something that I would have loved to have when I was a student in Tamil school. So at one point when I was younger, I was super duper into my Tamil heritage and culture. I was kind of immersed by that. All of my friends were Tamil. I went to Tamil school, and that was like a big part of my life. I watched the first Rajini movie, First Day, First Show, every single time. And I had like a really expansive playlist of Tamil songs. And then all of this kind of started to pan out in 3rd or 4th grade when I realized that a lot of my American friends had completely different interests than me. And I'd been talking to them and they'd been talking to me about like ABBA and Queen. And my parents never listened to any of this type of music. And the first time I'd heard about Queen was probably like a month before when like the Queen movie came out. So I was just kind of very separated from this entire like American pop culture world at this point. And when I was kind of taking a look at my Tamil friends from Tamil school, they were also kind of doing the same thing. They were trying to dive deeper into their American heritage as well. So consequently, they stopped going to Tamil school, and you know, I got busy too, I guess, as a 4th grader with swim classes and guitar classes, and I also stopped going to Tamil school. So looking back, like a lot of these friends from Tamil school that I had, we lost touch and we stopped being friends, and I kind of wish that I'd kept these friendships and these bonds, because I think that having Tamil friends that have shared experiences like me would have been really, really helpful. And I think that's what Tamil Scouts aims to do, is to create those shared Tamil experiences so that kids can develop in a space where there's people like them.
Oh, that's nice. So can I say it's a network or a group for Tamil kids specifically living in US?
Yeah.
Something that they can be part of as they grow up through the high school and grow out of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so the connection, right? Why is it important? Why do you think having the Tamil connection is important?
Well, I think it's really important to have people like you surround you, right? Because at least for me, being Tamil is a huge part of my identity and my culture. Obviously, I'm fully Tamil because both of my parents are Tamil, but I've grown up in America. So I'm a Tamil person that lives in America, and I think that those are two very important parts of me to embrace. And when I talk to someone and I establish a connection with someone, I want them to understand all the facets that make me me. And I think that being Tamil is a huge part of that.
That's nice. It was great that at such a young age you felt a need, but instead of just thinking about it and moving on, you decided to do something about it and gone through creating a nonprofit now. And no, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. Are there any other people helping you with this?
Yeah, there's I have a couple of board members right now, and the president of the Tamil school that I went to when I was younger, as well as a couple of other high school students that are helping me.
Very good. Very good. So let's talk about the programs that you are doing or you want to do in this group. Let's go through that list once again.
Okay.
And let's talk about each of them.
Sure.
All right.
So the Akana mentorship program, we just finished the first.
What is Akana?
Akana. Yeah.
Akana. Yeah. Okay.
So big sister, big brother, basically. Yeah. So if you look at like, obviously in the US, there's a big brother, big sister programs. So that's kind of what it models.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So we just finished with our first batch of this program. So right now we just finished up the applications for magnet high schools and like Walton STEM Academy and stuff like that for current 8th graders. So current 8th graders just finished writing their applications for these schools that the mentors of the Akana mentorship program helped them write. So this whole program started in, I think, September, where we talked to students from the Tamil school, and we told them that there is this program that they can join, and we'll tell them about how to apply for colleges or apply for high schools, because a lot of these students have just come straight from India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that that's who this program is especially beneficial to, is those kids that have just come from India and they don't have full awareness about the high schools and the opportunities that they can apply to and what they need to do in order to get into a certain high school or even college. So, yeah, that's kind of what we did with the Akana mentorship.
Very nice. And how do you make the connections and all at this point in time? What kind of technology you use to make the connections?
Yeah, so right now it's pretty much just like people talking. So this first batch of people, I went and I talked to the 8th graders at Tamil school on a Friday, and I spoke to them and their parents about how applications for high school is coming up and how they need to be prepared, and just basically an information session at the Tamil school.
Okay.
And I also sent out a couple of emails.
Emails and okay. So you're collecting emails and phone numbers.
Yeah.
You created some WhatsApp group or things like that.
Yeah, it's like an email chain right now. It's through the Tamil school.
Through the Tamil school.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is Akana program. Very nice. Yeah.
So then there's cultural immersion. This is our next big program. So this is something that I thought of because I think that with Tamil school, students are getting the understanding of language, right? But they're not necessarily understanding the importance of Tamil culture and Tamil heritage apart from the language. Because I think a really important part of understanding your heritage is not only understanding language, but understanding where practices are coming from and what we're doing and why we're doing that. So what we do in the cultural immersion programs is we teach different skills. So there's Tamil archaeology, Tamil political systems and history, kola making, making different Tamil foods, tying veshtis and saris. So it's like really like hyper-specific Tamil skills. And then like a Scouts program, we give badges for that.
Oh, wow. Oh, is that why it ties to the name Scouts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does this also span all age groups?
Yeah, it's specifically for like that 8-year-olds to high school. Because I guess it's just like that's the age that needs it the most, and that's the age that I at least felt was the most like I think that this is the age where students are like leaving Tamil school. So that's the age that you need to really make sure that students are still engaged in their heritage and identity. And I think that Tamil Scouts does exactly that.
Okay, very nice. And I'm sure you're, so as part of Bollywood dance, have you also indulged in any specific Tamil dance like Kotatam or something like that?
Yeah, so we even like at Tamil school, one of my earliest Tamil school memories is doing the Tamil dances for annual day or Pongal festivals or something like that. But yeah, I would really love to get more into Tamil dances.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, we'll come back to this. But what's the third one?
The third one is Tamil Hangouts. So this is kind of that idea of shared experiences that I was talking about before. So as I mentioned earlier, I was always really interested in watching Tamil movies and listening to Tamil songs and stuff like that. But this wasn't something that I could openly talk about with my friends because obviously like they didn't, like my American friends weren't watching Tamil movies, they weren't listening to Tamil songs. My Tamil school friends might have, but there wasn't a space for me to openly talk to them about it, right? And I think that, like, with Tamil Scouts, we can create a space for that because we can all watch a Tamil movie together, listen to new Tamil songs, go to a Tamil music concert like Anirudh. So it's like, I think that's what Tamil Scouts provides with Tamil Hangouts.
Tamil Hangouts. Oh, that's wonderful. So it's nice that you have carved out a vision for 3 separate needs, where Akana is more a mentorship on an individual level, and then the cultural is there a name for that?
Cultural immersion.
Cultural immersion. Okay. The third. I would love to see a cute name like Akana for that too.
Yeah, we're working.
Yeah. And the third one is good, Tamil Hangouts, right?
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So it's nice that you saw a need for 3 separate things, and that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, what drove you? Like, what personally motivated you to do this?
I guess it's just because this is something that, again, I would have loved to see when I was younger. I think it's really sad, especially for me, that, I am a Tamil school dropout. I speak decent, mostly broken Tamil because I'm a Tamil school dropout. Like, after I dropped out in 3rd or 4th grade, I never came back to Tamil school. And I think that's the plight with like a lot of my family friends and the people around me is that they didn't come to Tamil school because they didn't see a community of people that they can relate to or be around. And I think that's super important to connect with your culture and embrace who you are and the multicultural part of you. And I think that being who you are and understanding all of those things stems from a community of people like you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What's surprising is like a lot of us older people have that feeling, but the fact that you, being so young, feeling like that, that's really heartening to see.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's go into your Tamil background,
Okay.
So what does Tamil culture mean to you?
Okay, yeah. So this is like really deep. I think my grandpa and my dad have a huge emphasis on knowing Tamil, understanding Tamil, and giving back to the community. And that's what this is all about, giving back to the community. And I think my Tamil heritage and my interest in my Tamil heritage comes from my dad and my grandpa, because I don't know, those are people that really formed a lot of things for me in my life. You know, my dad really only told me stories about history and stuff like that, and that's what sparked my interest in history. And my grandpa told me stories about like the self-respect movement in India, and you know, like they were people that formed those interests in me. So when I was at a very like obviously formative age, and I watched these Tamil movies, it was with my dad. So that is my Tamil culture to me, is those Tamil movies, I guess. And that's just about it. It's just Tamil movies.
Now, I actually really admire your parents for choosing such beautiful names for you and your sister. I mean, it is just, even in English, it's just 3 characters. In Tamil, it's only 2.
Yeah.
But it is the everything, right? Truth is everything. You know, even somebody thinking that May can be a name.
Yeah.
That's pretty brave of them to do that. And,
yeah.
I'm sure you're so unique. I haven't come across anybody else with that name. Have you?
I think I have, but they've been like, obviously it's MAE. So it's like May and they're, or like MEI and they're Chinese. So it's there's like Chinese people and then there's like Southern people with the name May. But yeah, obviously.
Not Tamil May.
Yeah, not Tamil May. Yeah.
Do you try to correct people when they say?
You know, I've kind of given up on it because it's like I'll say it one way and they'll be like, "Oh, we're saying the same thing," and I'm like, "No, we're not."
How do people normally call
May?
You? May.
Like the month May. So now when I introduce myself, it's just like, "Oh, I'm May." I'm trying to like fix it, but a lot of my like longtime friends, they're gonna stay calling me May.
And how do you ask them to call you?
May.
May.
Yeah.
It's so hard for people to.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when that is not. Those syllables are not used in English, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what's really beautiful about the Tamil language too, is that there's like syllables and characters that are not used in any language at all. And that's also, interestingly enough, something that I struggled with when I was like coming up with Tamil Scouts as a name. I wanted to write TAMIZH, Tamil Scouts. But I ended up with TAMIL just because it's easier for people to say, right? And when I was talking to my dad about it, he told me that ZH is often used in names and words because that's like the beauty of that letter. And it's not necessarily used when saying the word Tamil because it's like, that's how, when you search up Tamil, it's MIL, right?
That's a very nice nuance.
Yeah,
I didn't appreciate it. Yeah, no, but I think your dad's absolutely right. When you're referring the language, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, yeah, that's so. Tamil language and heritage, right? It's deep and diverse in many ways. You can take the just a cultural route or the literature route, or even I would say up to movies or political, like self-respect movement you talked about. So, are you actually reading outside to keep track of these things? What is your way to go and get information for these?
About Tamil heritage? Okay, yeah. So I would not say that I'm the most educated on Tamil heritage and things that have happened in like the Tamil world and history and stuff like that. That's my fault because I haven't read too much into it, but Tamil heritage and Tamil history is definitely something that I'm super duper interested in, just because it's like obviously my heritage. So I definitely have a lot to learn about Tamil history as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, sir, are there any favorite things that you read or heard about Tamil heritage or history that?
Yeah, sure. So I am really interested in the self-respect movement. Obviously, that's something that like is really interesting to me, just because it's like the total demolishing of societal structures up until that point is what's like super duper interesting for me. And that, and like, I guess there's just so many nuances in Tamil language with like the letters and how everything is formed. So I'm really interested in learning more about like the linguistic side of Tamil. Yeah, so those are just a couple of things, but mainly like the self-respect movement and just a lot of the things that aren't really documented as specific history that you'd think of as like when people think of India, they think of like, oh, British colonial rule and spices. But I think there's a lot more to India and South India specifically than meets the eye.
Right. So what do you see is the future for your group?
For Tamil people?
No, sorry, for the Tamil Scouts.
For Tamil Scouts, yeah. Okay, so when initially coming up with this idea, my inspiration was kind of Israeli Scouts. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the Jewish community in America is obviously super duper vast. And they have this thing called Israeli Scouts, or it probably goes by another name, but that's the idea pretty much, is that they have a lot of youth-led scout troops, and obviously there's like an adult supervisor, but it's all youth led, and their best friends and the people that they've grown up with are from this group of youth scouts, and they are in age level cohorts and groups, and they go to camps, they learn more about their history, and it's all just super interesting to me because that's how they form their bonds in their community. And I think that the future of Tamil Scouts is exactly that. I want Tamil Scouts to grow into something that maybe other cultural groups see as inspiration, just like I saw for Israeli Scouts. And I want us as a community to grow into something that we can rely on as people, something that we can fall back on, and something that can be long-lasting and lifelong.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and these friendships, if we can create, they can grow, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And as far as the actual implementation of this is concerned, have you been thinking about some kind of technology solutions so that you can involve more people or scale it even beyond your schools?
Yeah, so right now we're working on implementing it even further within this school, but then we want to expand to other schools within the area, other Tamil schools within the area. And obviously, like, I set up an Instagram handle at Tamil Scouts. And like technology wise, it would be great if there were like ambassadors that could work with Tamil Scouts. And just to make this like, at the end of the day, I want it to be a community that people can rely on and fall back on. So, I mean, it would be awesome if this could be something that's like scaled nationwide, and there could be ambassadors in states and stuff like that. But
that's awesome. So coming to like even that Akana you said, right? Like that's one-on-one mentoring, and so you have the framework for one-on-one mentoring, a group that's with the hangouts, and then with celebration. Mm-hmm. So you have the heritage, emergent heritage, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have the framework for building a really nice foundation as you go on, right? Now, is the outcome to further language, or is it more than that?
I would say that it, not necessarily to further language. I think that it's to further the growth of culture and language, Tamil culture and language. Because I think for a lot of parents of current Tamil youth, their biggest worry is that Tamil's not going to expand beyond their generation, right? Which is why they send their kids to Tamil school, which is why they try to surround their kids with other Tamil kids. And I think that if students are put in a environment where they're surrounded by other Tamil kids, they themselves will try to expand their Tamil heritage, their Tamil knowledge, and even them speaking the language, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing that you force is going to come out properly. And I think that like things like that, if you're just easily surrounded by other people that do the same things as you, you're obviously going to do what they do. So if you're surrounded by Tamil kids that speak Tamil, you're also going to speak Tamil.
That's true. Yeah. Do you also see this as a forum to help people? First of all, let me ask you, I mean, having children your age, right, I've gone through, I know that there are some problems which are specific to Indian community as you're going through school, because end of the day, you are different.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way, okay? Yeah. In many ways. And that, I believe, comes with some... Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that, I was debating whether or not I would just be super upfront about this, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about, because I think that a lot of health is super stigmatized in Indian culture in general. And I don't think it should be. It's like, I remember when I was little, I would take idli sambar to school, and my friends would be like, well, not really friends, I guess, but they would be like, oh, what is that? That looks so gross. Like, that's the response. And I would take lemon rice to school. They'd be like, oh, it looks like pea. What are you eating? It's like, I would get these nasty remarks, nasty comments from my friends. And it made me feel insecure about my culture. And that's kind of what made me want to push it down and push it away. And I think that it's very sad to see. And that happens in a lot of cultures, just even within the US. It's like, if anything looks a little bit different, that's something that we feel we need to push away, which is just, I don't even know if this is something that we can solve just talking about it. But it's like, it needs to be more talked about, that obviously kids are going to be ignorant. They don't know that they can't say certain things and that they can say certain things. That develops with age. But it's also how we react to things within the house. How do we treat things that are different, and how we react to things that are not like us, I guess.
Right. No, even that's the example you gave. There can be impact or lessons for everybody involved, like obviously yourself or people like you who are impacted by that, right? But there are lessons for your parents or parents of such kids too. And also there's an educational aspect for your schoolmates or friends about this culture.
Yeah.
So you guys can potentially impact that too, right? You can foresee you hosting an event, not just for Tamilians, but also for awareness of the culture within the school. Do you think such a possibility is there?
Yeah, of course. I think that things like this need to happen in obviously bigger forums. Just by me and another Tamil kid talking about our experiences, nothing's going to change that way. We need to make sure that people know about Indian culture and Tamil culture on a wider scale. Because I feel like a lot in the media, sadly, Tamil culture and Indian culture is like ridiculed. And it's really disheartening to see, because it's like people don't know the beauty of something until it's like broadcasted to them, I feel like. So I think that having a big event like that is obviously a good idea.
Yeah, that's and in situations like these, like do you think parents generally understand these things? I know you have wonderful parents, you're probably understanding, but what is your general perception of these things?
I think that for a lot of parents, especially for like first generation immigrants, when they first move here from America, I think they know that their child is going to experience hardship, but I think it often is something that they don't understand the extent of, because
a lot of kids are unfortunately ridiculed because of their race and their culture, and it makes them want to push it down more and more. So when they're having a conversation inside the home, oh, you like eating biryani at home. Why don't you take it to school? Oh, because it smells bad. And they're like, oh, why do you care? It's just food. It's not that the student cares. It's that the kids around them care, and they want friends. So I think that really impacts their social environment. Having a parent that understands or doesn't understand that is like, it's difficult. But I think that a lot of parents are pretty understanding to it, at least after a couple times of telling them.
Yeah. But probably that extends beyond food, right? That mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, so we never get to experience what you go through in school. And frankly, we don't experience things like at that level at work, because work is a lot more multicultural, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, I don't know, do you feel like you or your friends have to lead double lives?
Yeah, actually, double lives is a good way of putting it, I think, because it's like at home, I'm very culturally aware. I like watching Tamil movies. I like eating Indian food. But at school, I'm eating pasta and talking to my friends about Wicked or whatever movie came out recently. So it's like, I think actually leading a double life is a very real thing for a lot of people that are multicultural. Because it's like they want to relate to their friends so badly. But at home, they also appreciate their culture. So how do you blend the two?
Right. And is that actually causing some level of stress, do you think, among people?
I think that causes a lot of anxiety among people, because the way that I might talk to my American friend is definitely not the way that I would talk to my mom. You know? So it's like having a good blend between those two things is really difficult for a lot of people, especially if having this quote unquote double life is something that happens at a very young age. Right? Because these kids are going into school and they're seeing their friends that are doing completely different things than what they're doing at home. So how are you supposed to act?
Right.
Are you supposed to be true to your culture, or are you supposed to try to fit in?
Yeah. So you face those conflicting things.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Is there anything that you wish adults understand?
I think that a lot of adults, despite a lot of complaints, at least in my life, I think that a lot of adults have been understanding of being multicultural, because at least like in my life, a lot of the adults surrounding me understand what it's like, but obviously they're not experiencing it. So I think the best way to kind of remedy that is to talk to other kids that have gone through the same thing. And I don't think anyone has all the answers.
No, that's a wonderful reason why you need something like this. I mean, just irrespective of how well we understand, without experiencing it, it's very hard for us to empathize. And also, this is why I love what you're trying to do. We are also growing, okay?
Yeah.
So by the time we empathize, we start understanding, it might be too late for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It might be for next generation, because it takes time for us to go through, assimilate these things and figure out.
Yeah.
By then you're past your middle school or high school.
Yeah.
Whereas having peers or akkas and annas who have just gone through helping and being that intermediary, or hey, you can even be talking to their parents, right?
Yeah.
Or be the bridge in case of you find somebody, or you, meaning whoever is interacting.
Yeah, I think it's important in general to find like communities. And that's the whole thing, like those people that have just moved from India. There's so many Tamil people at least Tamil people that have just moved from India in my community and even in Tamil school. And I didn't know that there were so many people like this. So looking at this, they don't know what it's like. And especially these people that have literally just moved from India. The parents of these kids don't understand what it's like, because at least my parents, they understand because I've grown up here. I was born here. So for 15 years, I've been experiencing things like this, but their kids have been experiencing it for what, 1 year?
Yeah.
They don't really understand. So it's super important to find those peers, and if not peers, like older adults that can empathize with these parents that have just moved here. And those other adults have been experiencing this for a long time.
Yeah, this is great. Even having a small group of kids like you who are empathizing with those kids is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because even sometimes that might not happen too, right? The kids who are born and brought up over here, even sometimes you guys may not know how to react in those situations without some awareness.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really proud, May.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is really it's so heartening to see, you doing this, and obviously I would love to support you in any way.
Yeah, thank you.
How can we, not just me, but people around me or adults, how can we help?
With my Tamil Scouts effort?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I think that obviously by spreading the message of that, there's this community and why we need a community like this. And I think that's what a lot of the adults around me have been doing so far. And I think it's important for other kids to understand why they need a community like this. And I think that also the thing with Tamil Scouts is that it's obviously just by word of mouth because it is a community. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, is your nonprofit registered to get funding and things like that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because these things might take resources, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I don't want to ask for money or anything like that. It's obviously we'd appreciate donations, but bank accounts need to be set up, things like that. So there's still some legal things or whatever that need to be done behind the scenes.
Is that at least you're thinking about those things?
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
No, very well. So glad that you're taking this initiative, and just talking to you. I didn't have this sense that you can actually help in a real tangible way, because the need is there. Like you said, people are coming in, or given that even among Tamil community, it's not one homogeneous thing. Various families might have different perceptions.
Yeah.
Whereas inside the homes, we might be very different, right? Some people are extremely still struggling for the right word, but let's say trying to hold on to our values, which is good. But in a way, what happens in schools is very common. I guess everybody gets to experience the same thing, more or less, right? So the experiences of children in school are going to be very different. Let's say there is a house where they're extremely open about everything, and that child, even though it's a Tamil child, might experience things differently when compared to another kid whose parents, right? So in situations like this, you are creating a system that could help everybody.
Yeah.
The children themselves, the adults, perhaps, because sometimes we just don't know what you go through, right?
Yeah. I think it's also important to be sensitive of how families conduct inside their home, because I think it's not right to assume that everybody is going to do the same things inside their home just because everybody's Tamil, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why creating communities like this is so important, because within a community you might find one family that's very open about things they do and one family that's I don't know the right word, but conservative about their views and holding their beliefs close to their heart and things like that. So yeah, I think it's important to find various views and things like that so that everybody is understanding of each other, and so that we can create that kind of interdependence within a community.
Nice. I see great potential for this. A lot of these big things start small, because it's one thing for us to. It's great we have Atlanta Tamil Sangam. We bring in people, accomplished people who are entertainers or mostly speakers, thought leaders, and that. So that is happening on one end. Mm-hmm. But then you're addressing something that's happening, potentially helping something that's so core.
Yeah.
To kids, happening to kids. So helping them, but also from bottom up, right? Helping them to stay connected.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this will take its own course, build its own momentum, and
Yeah.
I really wish you won't know what all you will be doing in years
Yeah.
to come. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that the difference is that this is like a youth-led, grassroots, as you said, kind of initiative. And it's not really about influencing people or doing something really big. I think it's about the connections we make and the community we're building and the networking.
Yeah. Yeah, build it up, and I would, coming from technology industry, I would encourage you to look up, because nowadays it's so easy to build a technical framework for connectivity and all those things, so that it continues to live as a concept, as a foundation by itself beyond people.
So what would you suggest for making that a possibility, like as a technological type of thing?
Yeah, think about all the solutions that can connect people, right? Even WhatsApp groups, for instance, something everybody does,
Yeah.
and something very simple you can involve. Maybe think about web forums to connect mentors,
Yeah.
right? If somebody wants to sign up as Akka and Anna, right, in a more reliable way, they can sign up.
Yeah,
So that model is a mentor-mentee model. So somebody should be able to sign up as mentors, and others who want to be mentored can sign up. So you can match, maybe depending on the location and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's an avenue, and they can grow with the system. And similarly, you can have your own hangouts, all part of one system, right?
Yeah, that's really
So, so that'll start collecting history, and you can keep track of these things. That's a social forum, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's nice.
or maybe some Reddit subforums,
Yeah.
and things like that. There's so many ways you can get a durable engagement and also scale, because that's the main thing. What you're saying is not limited to your school or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of
It's
course.
global.
Yeah.
Pretty much every high school in the US were accessible, and not just Tamil community too, to be honest, right? So that's where but then you do want to have that Tamil cultural identity, awareness that's there. So I don't know how you're going to just carve that
Yeah. We'll have to see.
separately.
Yeah.
But it's worth. Tamil is so deep and rich. Have you thought about having Tirukkural as a foundation of any of these things?
Yeah, we definitely can. I think that Tirukkural is something that I don't have a lot of knowledge on Tirukkural, as I said before. I'm obviously still learning about all of that. I think that is something that's super interesting about Tamil culture. I know that's one of your interests. So actually, we have a summer program coming up. It's going to be at the end of May, which is it'll be a 1 week long summer camp. And we're looking for volunteers to help teach different Tamil skills. So if you wanted to do that, you could. But yeah.
Let's definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Or even mining Tirukkural for concepts for your programs. Because pretty much it's so deep and rich. There are
And it's vast.
Yeah. For each of your programs, let's say for each of your Akana outreach, or if you want some guiding vision for each of those programs, I'm sure you can find one or more Kurals for that. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe use that as a foundation.
Yeah.
And there are Tirukkural scholars who can give you, that's the beauty of Tirukkural, right?
Yeah.
It's so abstract. You can find guidance for many, many things of life.
Yeah, you're right.
That's awesome, May. Anything else that you want to share?
No, I think that's pretty much it if you don't have any more questions.
I'm so glad. Wishing you the very best.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm sure you're learning a lot of things along the way, okay?
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down and educating me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.